watch this?
How?
Ew,
How do you watch this?
Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants.
Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we recommend a movie to each other in the genre that we love but they don't, I think is what
Yeah.
we do. Okay, just a couple besties torturing each other.
Yep.
My name is Megan and I love romance.
My name is Demi and I love horror.
And this week I had Demi watch The Proposal, which completes our thread of
Unhinged grandparent?
yeah, that's
Okay.
good. I wrote goofy grandparent on mine, but close enough.
Either or. Just the
Yeah,
grandparent
they both
that's
work.
missing a few wires up there.
Yeah, I honestly, after I watched The Lost Boys, I was like, that grandpa is definitely worse than the one.
I don't know. I think him
one-
and Gammy would hit it off pretty well.
Oh, for sure. But Gammy, I feel like it's slightly more wholesome than he is.
She's, more based in reality, I guess.
Yeah.
I would hope that no one has a grandfather like the Lost Boys' grandfather.
Yeah. God, there probably is someone out there.
Yeah, probably. In California.
Yeah.
In this episode, we're doing things a little different. We are kind of doing a shorter explanation of the movie instead of just like a full deep dive. So then we have more time to actually review and discuss the movie than
Right.
talking about like
Right. So we're
point
going
by
to see
point.
if maybe it's a little bit better to not just like make everyone listen to the entire movie
Yeah.
again. And
So-
also I think it'll be better for us because we have to relive the movies so many times. We watch them and then we record them and then we edit them. So maybe it'll be a little bit.
Yeah. So we're gonna see how this goes. So like Megan said, my movie was The Proposal. The director was Anne Fletcher, who has quite the great movies under her belt. I've seen a few of them.
Okay, give me some of them.
So she did Step Up, which is, of course, iconic.
Yep.
She did 27 Dresses, which was my favorite rom-com for a long time.
Oh, that one was so good.
She also did Bring It On, and she did do Hocus Pocus too. So we won't talk about that, but
Okay.
it's okay.
Fair enough. I haven't seen it, and I probably won't.
I think her specialty is more in the romance genre, you know?
Okay,
I think the
fair
Hocus
enough.
Pocus is a little weird in her. She also did The Pacifier, if you saw that, which wasn't bad.
Oh, yeah, I
my gosh.
vividly remember The Pacifier.
I also see Hairspray on here. I don't know if she
Wait.
directed it or if she was like just a part of it. Georgia the Jungle.
No way did
Yeah.
she
I
direct
think she was
Hairspray.
I think she was like included in the process.
Absolutely.
There's a lot on here. So she's I would say a good director.
Yeah,
So The Proposal came out in 2009, and my snapshot, I figured I would just
which 15
like,
years ago, by the way.
yeah, a long time ago.
I
And
couldn't believe it's that old. Like, I was like, there's no way. For some reason, I guess I just rewatched it enough times in adulthood, but I was like, there's no way it came out when I was a teenager, but it did. We were 15.
yeah, I think that was the only time I watched it. I know I've seen it a few
What?
times, but at that age, I never watched it again when I was older. Yeah.
What?
I don't rewatch a lot of rom-coms. Megan.
Oh my god, who are you?
I only have time for Pride and Prejudice.
Fair enough. But
So, yeah, no, it's fair. And Sandra Bullock was 43 in this movie. She's 12 years older than Ryan, which is like crazy because she's still stunning, but it's
she's
I really
so
thought they were the
stunning.
same age.
Honestly,
I would have
I
never
did too.
guessed.
I did too. Because I looked it up only because I was like, oh, well, she is an editor. So obviously she's been around the block a little more than him. He's an
Yeah.
assistant. And I was expecting some age gap. I was expecting maybe 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
And then when it was a 12-year age gap, I was like, oh my God, Ryan Reynolds.
I know, it's a big age
He's
gap.
really going for it. Originally, they had wanted Julia Roberts to actually play
Oh, okay.
the lead, which was really surprising to me because I think I always visualized Julia Roberts being in 80s movies so much that for some reason I thought she was so much older than she is. And she's actually 2 years younger than Sandra Bullock.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was very surprised to hear that she was the first choice because for some reason in my mind, I don't know if I just like confuse her with Julie Andrews.
Oh.
Because I I was like visualizing someone the age of Julie Andrews. I didn't mix them up, but I was just like visualizing someone the same age as Julie Andrews. I don't know why.
Right.
But yeah, anyway.
She would have been a good choice as well.
She would have been. I do think that Sandra Bullock was the right choice.
Yeah.
I think she was perfect for this role. I think Julia Roberts is really great and sweet, and I think she definitely would have been good in this role.
Yeah.
But I have a harder time seeing her play someone mean.
I think you need a brunette to really pull it off, you know?
Yeah, fair enough.
God. Okay, so I figured my snapshot would be just me explaining the movie a bit more than just a little bit. So here's the breakdown. I try to make it really short. So I'm just going to go through it and then we'll discuss specific scenes that we want to discuss. So the movie centers around Margaret Tate, who's played by Sandra Bullock. She's an executive editor-in-chief of a New York book publishing company. She is a girl boss, but she's also basically a bitch. And I know it's not easy being the boss, but also no one likes her. Everyone calls her a witch. And I can kind of see why. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then her assistant is Andrew Paxton, who's played by Ryan Reynolds. He is absolutely on top of everything, and you can tell that she just takes it for granted. Yeah. And one day, she ends up learning from her superior chairman that her visa renewal application has been denied due to visa term violation. And so she faces deportation back to Canada unless she does something about it. So not wanting to do that, she pretty much forces her assistant, Andrew, into marrying her to get a green card. And she reminds him that if she gets deported, he will most likely be fired by the next executive, which is the man that she just fired.
Right.
And
very brutally.
Yes, which we can talk about that too. And will pretty much ruin his dream of becoming an editor. So they meet with U.S. immigration agent Gilbertson, and he thinks they're committing fraud. He doesn't think they're like legit. And so he tells him that Margaret's going to be deported to Canada permanently, and Andrew will be convicted of a felony, which includes a $250,000 fine and 5 years in prison. So it's a pretty big deal.
Terrifying.
So Margaret brings up that she remembers Andrew was going back home for the weekend for his grandma's birthday party, and she informs him that they're going to go there together just to further convince the authenticity of their relationship. So Andrew agrees, but he pretty much says that they're going to do it his way, and that if she doesn't agree, he's going to just quit. So
yeah. Hell yeah, put your foot down.
You have to.
Yeah.
So she agrees, and they go to Sitka, Alaska, to celebrate the 90th birthday of his grandmother, Gammy, who's played by Betty White, and she is the best character in the movie.
She's so
tied with Oscar.
Yeah. Oh my God, Oscar. I meant to look up interviews with Oscar and I forgot.
Oh my God. It's so funny. I didn't realize his name was actually Oscar. I was just saying Oscar because from The Office. I'm like, oh my God, his name's actually Oscar.
Yeah.
So he's a whole character in himself. So they go to Alaska, and she learns that Andrew, his family is actually wealthy, and they are very well known in the area. She just assumed he lived in a shitty little box in New York because she doesn't know anything about him. Anyway, over the weekend, they grow closer, and she learns more about Andrew's family, who's very sweet. We learn more about her, how she lost her parents at 16. She's never really had anyone. Adds more context to her character. And then the family asked them to get married there during that weekend. So
yes.
And then as that is happening, the agent from earlier shows up and is like, I know you guys are lying. Say it's a lie and you'll go scot-free. Andrew, you don't have to worry about a fine, but Andrew's doubling down on it. They have this wedding, but during the ceremony, Margaret comes clean, tells her, because she just, the family's been so nice to her. She doesn't want to hurt anyone anymore. She leaves back to New York, and then while she's cleaning out her office, Andrew shows up and gives a not so great proposal, official proposal, but she says yes, and then the movie ends with them going back to the immigration office to get a real green card, for real. So that is the general snapshot.
Snapshot?
Yeah, snapshot. So some things I want to discuss in the movie. I wonder if I should just finish my review or just save that for later. What do you think?
Let's discuss and then do the review.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some of the negatives I hear around this movie is that they take this woman, Margaret, who's a girl boss. She's, on top of her shit. And they basically degrade her the whole movie. until Andrew Ryan's character is more like takes control, I guess. Like that's something I see a lot online, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but personally I don't see it in that way. Like yeah, there's some times where I'm like, I could see I'm not a fan of what happened or what was said. I think specifically with the ending with how he proposed. So their relationship, he's very much like, she's the fucking worst, because she is. She is like, hey, you're gonna work this weekend, you're gonna do this.
He's
and he's
very,
like,
very demanding.
Yes, and he just can't catch a fucking break. He even gets 2 cups of coffees of the same thing in case one spills, something happens, she'll still get her coffee. And she finds out and she just calls him pathetic, which I feel like I would compliment him on that. Like, wow, you're actually thinking ahead. Good for you. That'd be the most I'd compliment him, probably.
Thank you for starting to drink my coffee, which is probably not your favorite cup of tea, because coffee is so different person to person.
Right. So, like, she doesn't even cut him slack for that. And I think part of it is that she doesn't want him to move forward to being an editor because he's such a good assistant. She's just she knows that he'll do whatever she asks because he wants to be an editor.
It's shitty. It's really shitty because it's like you hold someone back to be in a lower paying position and not furthering their career because it's the best option for you, which is not it's not good. It doesn't look good for her.
No.
But I think that there's also this element of she's so alone. She has no family.
Mm-hmm.
She probably doesn't have any friends at this point because her life is
definitely
her job.
not. She doesn't open up to people. No.
So I don't think she is able to understand what it is that she's doing to someone else, how to not be selfish. Yeah. So I think that this whole movie is kind of reawakening this side of herself that she's lost. Yeah.
So it's definitely more surrounding her character and kind of learning more about her and her kind of opening up and learning more about people and realizing that she can depend on people. She can open up. She can be vulnerable.
And there is this interesting thing that they do in the film that basically, to start the movie, she has a very high, tight ponytail. And the further along you go, to the end, her hair slowly makes its way down, lower and lower, until eventually it just hangs loose at the end.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It's a cool detail. I did not notice that. But I don't think Andrew's character ever really degraded her that much. The worst is that he'd call her Satan's mistress, just shit like that. Like, he would talk to his family and the coworkers, he'd say, oh, the witch is on her broom. But, to be honest, she was pretty foul. And so I don't think there was anything too bad about that. I didn't see it as oh, Andrew is working to get above her. And then now that he has the upper hand, they can get married. I didn't see it like that at all.
I don't see that. I guess I could see how some people would read it that way. I think some people read into every little nuance of anything. Rom-coms are so tricky because of the fact that you are encapsulating a romance in a very short amount of time, an hour and a half usually. Yeah. And you're trying to get the whole climax of the relationship. Yeah. That beginning of it. And sometimes there are aspects in relationships that are a little bit messy anyway. Mm-hmm. You're never gonna have this picture perfect anything in real life. Yeah. But when we see it on the screen, there's this held to this higher regard of, it has to follow everything, in the most correct form. Right. And the healthiest relationship possible. And is it healthy, the relationship entirely? No, it definitely doesn't start off healthy. She's basically blackmailing him to be in a relationship with him. But welcome to rom-coms.
Yeah, it and listen,
doesn't make sense.
Margaret said some things where I'm like, I don't think she's a great person. Yeah. So here are some things that she has said. So, first we can bring up her firing that employee. I feel like we don't know the full story, right? So she told him that she wanted this. It was an author, right, to get on Oprah. Name was Frank. Yeah, to get on Oprah, and she managed to get it done, but the worker did not. And even though she told him multiple times, he didn't do it, and she fired him. So I was like, okay, well, if he didn't do his job, you fire him. But also, it seems later on that the author really did not feel comfortable doing it, and so part of it could have been her pressuring him, but also, I don't know, a job's a job,
Yeah, the thing is that the guy never even tried. He never even reached out to the author's people. He literally was just like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, I did it. Yeah, no problem. except that at least if he could have tried, if he had made that call, if he had made the effort, it's one thing to be like, yeah, this is an impossible person. Yeah, on your mindset, you have to take those steps. Your boss tells you to do something,
right?
Within reason, you attempt to follow through on those skills, and if you don't, then give that job to somebody who is going to do the job.
So she obviously fires him, and then he has like a whole fucking.
Sorry, she does fire him on good terms. She's like, "You'll have 2 months."
She does,
and we'll find a replacement, and you'll leave quietly, and it will be brushed under the rug. You'll get references. You'll get everything. And
of course, he had to be a man-child and called her pretty much a witch, and she's evil, all this shit, and that's very hurtful. She took it as like, whatever, like, I don't care.
She didn't. She cried in the bathroom afterwards. You learn later on in the film. So it did hurt her feelings. Yeah.
So she puts a face for people, but, that does hurt. And she's, she may be a bitch on the outside, but you don't know what's going on with people. Yeah. So, but anyway, let's talk about other things about her. So one thing she says when the chairman tells her about her visa, she says, "I'm not an immigrant. I'm from Canada."
Oh, I know.
And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? 'Cause Mexico and Canada are connected in the same way. So that was some white privilege she said right there.
It's very of the times, too. I think it's...
Well, she makes another joke.
No, I know. I'm telling you, so much of this movie is like 2009, where you're like, these jokes wouldn't fly today.
The jokes are fine, but... As a character, Margaret saying that is okay.
No.
Well,
I am not disagreeing with you. I'm not saying it's okay she said it. I'm just saying I can see 2009 in it.
So then she, at the visa office, she just cuts everyone in line because she doesn't care. So that's another bad thing. And then she says to the agent, what is it here?
I'm nervous.
She knows he has to tend to a room full of gardeners and pool boys.
Oh, that was so bad. I forgot about that.
And I wrote, is Margaret racist? That was two, offensive things to say.
I know. That was really bad.
To people of color. So that I was like, God. And I don't hate Margaret's character, but I was like, she's really rough. So anyone that's like, oh, well, she's just a boss and everyone calls women bitchy because they're in control and they wouldn't call a man like that way. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Margaret had a lot of issues. She said some shit where I'm like, I don't think she was a great person to start off with.
Correct.
And, I don't know if she grew past her racism, but we'll
hopefully.
See. Hopefully.
She has that whole thing with Oscar, so maybe.
That's true. Yeah, Oscar
she never
Nunez.
Does seem comfortable with him.
Well, there's a reason for that. Oscar Nunez plays, what was his name? Ramon. And we first meet him. Andrew's family takes Margaret to a bar, and they have the only exotic dancer in Alaska.
Well, it's not the first time we meet him. We meet him for the very first time. He's serving the family, so he is like at a catering company.
Yes.
Serving the meals, and he's being weirdly flirty and shoving food in Margaret's mouth.
Yeah.
And then
you're so right. I completely forgot that. Yep.
Yeah.
The next time we see him,
yeah,
as an exotic dancer, and he's just throwing it back, and they have Margaret on stage, and my favorite part is when he goes to kiss her hand and then starts shoving her fingers in his mouth, and she's like, okay, all right, enough.
Oh God, dude.
It was so gross.
Imagine? It would already be a nightmare to me. It would be a nightmare to go to a strip club.
And it was
period.
It was it was just a little stage full of I guess all the women in Sitka and this one man.
And it's just one man who, God bless him.
He's a jack of all trades, apparently.
He really is. He's given it his all. He is so serious. He's so serious. I would be sweating being in that room.
Yeah,
just,
no.
The serious look on his face.
He was too much. And then Gammy was on stage. It was a lot to take in. And then the next time we see him, he works at a grocery store or a convenience store.
Yes. Yeah. He's really is just doing whatever in the town, which I find that trope is so funny to me.
Oh, it's
like
so
when
good.
I was doing my comic, I had a character like that because I was just like that. I love that trope, that idea that there's this one person who just is doing it,
and it just like makes me laugh.
down.
I'm like, oh my god! And then he shows up as the minister at the wedding. Too.
Yes. Oh,
It's
that
great.
was so great.
It's so good. So he's iconic character, and I think you brought it up before. If him and Sandra Bullock have this friendship, because he was also in
He was in the
Lost City. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just saw this thing pop up. They actually, I don't think have a friendship because
Really.
he got a message from her and he was surprised. But this is me looking while you were giving your little discussion. I was panic researching Oscar the proposal, and I will read what he said. He said that she said, "Are you available?" I said yes.
This was for the proposal?
No, this is for the Lost
Oh,
City
Lost
of
City.
D.
Oh my god, I guess he made an impact. I mean,
Yeah, he must have. I thought that there was something he said. When I was skimming through it, I thought I had read something about her texting him and him showing his wife and being like, "Is this Sandra Bullock?" But I can't find it. So
that's amazing.
I could be wrong, but
I mean, anything for the queen. So.
maybe they are besties, and here I am falsely representing the relationship.
Oh, it's interesting though.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess he made quite an impact. So
he's very talented.
Yeah, he's a fantastic character in this movie. He definitely makes it.
Hold on, here it is.
Oh,
I found
okay.
it. It was a different article. Quote, "I think she texted," and I'm like, "What?" You know, I showed my wife, like, "Yeah, that's Sandra." And then I think we texted back and forth a little bit. And then she called me on the phone and she's like, "You want to?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I said, "How much?" And she named the price. And I said, "That's insulting." And then I threw the phone out the window. And then she called back later and we figured everything out.
Stupid.
Apparently. So.
Oh, that's great. So Ryan Reynolds, I remember him being hotter when I was younger.
Yeah, I
Because
know.
he is attractive. I think his character is attractive in this movie. But I was like,
But I know.
is it the
I
baby
remember
face?
yes, I think that's what it is. Like,
Yeah.
I really remember being like so swoony over him when I was, I guess, 15 or whatever. And then I think it's like when I was telling you that he is the same age as us now, all of a sudden I'm looking at him, I'm like, "You look so young."
He does. He
Like,
does. I mean,
what's
his
wrong
body
with us?
looks
Is it because we're getting older that we're just like, be older?
I know. I'm like, you have to
No,
be like
it's not.
Pedro
because we were
Pascal
being
age at this point.
Yeah, seriously. But no, because we were being disgusting over like a baby Johnny Depp who was in his early 30s, right?
Okay,
and
you're right.
over what's his fucking face?
Okay. I think the thing with Ryan Reynolds is I think he's attractive, but I don't think he's the most attractive. He's just
He's attractive. The clean cut, he's too clean cut.
Yeah.
He has too many abs. I'm sorry.
he's just like a guy. You know, like there's nothing unique about him.
Right. He's like got basic white boy syndrome.
Yeah. Like he's
And-
funny. He has a quirky like personality
Right.
that I think
I love that.
is endearing. Yeah.
I just
He's tall.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just like he looks too good, like a little bit, like
a little bit, yeah.
like
I like
his
the
body, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the chest a little hairier, a little
Right.
bigger. He's like a little skinny.
You know, you can lose a couple of like the fine lines. That's okay. When I saw an interview of him and Sandra Bullock in 2009, I almost died because he was literally wearing
Oh
he
yeah, is
looked
it
like-
about that scene?
Yes. Did
Okay.
you see that interview?
No, I did not. But it's my
Okay.
most memorable scene, so we
Okay.
can talk about it and then
But
you can.
first, I want to talk about the interview, what he was wearing in the interview, because I probably would have just like.
Oh, what he
fallen
wore at
over.
the interview? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, let me see.
So it's the skinny tie, the open vest, the rolled
That-
up white sleeves.
Is so of the times.
Yes.
It's not even funny. Oh my god.
I dressed like that back then. Like, genuinely, I
Ooh, wow.
wore vests
With the
and the skinny tie at that
Yeah.
age. I
Oh
probably
my
would have fallen over if I
God.
had seen this interview back then. I didn't, but I would have.
Oh my god. Ugh. And Ryan,
But
he
yeah,
has like a big head too.
He does have a really big head. I think that his hair is also very of the time, where it's the short and pokey uppy.
Yeah, he definitely looks better now, and part of that might be
Yeah.
because he's aging
Look
better,
right.
or his hair style. It could be everything, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
2009 just wasn't it.
Yeah. I mean,
For
I
anyone.
will say Sandra looks amazing the whole time. Sandra
She always looks
amazing.
incredible,
Yeah.
obviously.
But he looks like a baby.
He does.
A little baby.
So yeah, Ryan's character Andrew is an interesting one because I did really like him. I think he was very cute. I like that he just did whatever she wanted. I like that in a man.
I know you do like that quality.
But there was like two things that I was like, why is he doing? Well, not two things. It's one thing, but he did it twice. And he kept touching her butt.
Yeah, it was.
And I was like, homie.
It was not consensual.
No.
And
like he did it to kind of like, I don't know, I guess show his family. Oh, they're a couple, but it's
it was
like
unnecessary.
No. And that was I think the only real ick. Like red flag I did not like about his character.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like, it's like you said, the humor of the time is probably like, grabbing a woman's ass without consent.
Right.
Top humor.
Yeah, that did give me the ick when I watched it. I was like, ooh, that's not sexy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let's not do that. So then we can talk about the most memorable scene, which is obviously the naked scene, which is still as funny as it was back then. Because it's absolutely bonkers.
Ingrained in my memory. It's just an iconic moment.
And I think watching it now, it's much worse. Seeing it now, I'm like, I would have jumped off the fucking balcony. I could never recover from that.
But I also think to myself, first of all, right? Like logistically, let's be realistic about it.
Yes.
Who gets naked on a balcony?
Yes. That was weird. Sandra?
Normal.
Fine. Normal. So basically she's taking a shower, she forgets a towel, so she goes to like open the door, she sees the towels are in the dresser, but the little dog Kevin is bothering her. So, and she's covering her body, and I'm like stressing out. Oh my god, she's naked.
Yeah.
This is crazy. It's the most I've ever seen of Sandra's body.
Yes.
And so she is reasonable. Okay, she needs to get a towel. Everyone's done it. But Andrew comes into the room, not knowing she's in the bathroom. He has his headphones on. He was running or something. Yeah. And he starts stripping on the balcony.
Right.
Yeah, the little
at one point puts the iPod like in his mouth.
And I'm like
getting dropped.
No, we don't. Yeah, if you had wireless, okay, you keep them in. But at that time, I'd have been like, okay, I'm taking this off to take my shirt and stuff off. So at that point, it was a little. I guess they had they needed him naked. So
yes,
obviously, but that was a little weird. So logistically, I don't think that was accurate. No. I feel like he would have just tried to walk into the bathroom and seen her naked, which would have been fine, I guess.
Right, but then,
it would have been a common joke of rom-coms anyway.
It would have been done before.
Yeah. So Andrew's walking back in, still kind of distracted, and Margaret runs past Kevin. She tricks the dog to go in the bathroom, closes it, and they both turn and just smack. Like you can hear the wet naked smack on each other and fall onto the floor. Yep. And I'm like, it's so intimate. I would have died. I don't care how hot he is. I would have literally passed out probably.
Yes.
So they're of course panicking, but it's just a funny scene. And they're like, "Why are you naked?
Yeah,
why are you naked?" She's like, "I see everything." So obviously it's my most memorable scene because it's just it's still funny.
Great, I have lots of information for you about this scene.
I want to hear,
because
were they actually not actually naked slamming into each other, but was Sandra actually how nude was she in that scene? Okay. I'm very curious.
So basically, there's a lot of information about the scene because obviously everyone wants to know everything about it. So first of all, I want you to guess how long it took for them to get that scene down.
Ooh, I don't know. So maybe a week.
No. It was 3 full days of filming.
Oh, okay.
But 3 days of being fully naked with each other. And they were fully naked. They had the little covers.
God. Yeah.
But they would fall off when they were doing the collision. So they would be naked. At one point, the director yelled, "Ryan, we can see your ball sack."
Oh my God.
And Sandra said that she never saw anything. She kept her eyes averted. She was like, they had a
Right.
friendship. They've known each other since they were very, very, very young.
Okay.
So they were able to be comfortable with each other. And apparently Ryan was very cool the whole time.
Yeah.
He was super chill and didn't make things uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But can you imagine?
Dude, no. I'd
3
like, put a stunt
days.
double.
Yeah, for real. So they basically multiple times were fully naked.
Oh my god.
With whether you had the pasties or whatever, they were basically fully naked. They ended up fully naked several times accidentally. It was their idea, apparently, according to something I read. It was their idea, like, as it wasn't originally in the script, and they were like,
I feel like it would be like
really
a
funny?
Sandra idea.
Yes.
Like she would think of something like that.
Yeah, and she basically was like, that's the only reason I'll ever get naked on TV is for a joke. She was like, I'll never get naked on TV to be sexy or to be held as attractive or whatever.
Yeah.
She was like, as a joke, yes, I will do this, but only because everyone's laughing.
Yeah.
So that was the
great.
whole thing with
I
her.
mean, it is a very funny scene. I think it works because they both end up in a situation that's uncomfortable for both.
Yes.
Rather than him walking on her naked or her walking on him naked.
Right.
It's like, oh, they both accidentally smack into each other naked. And they both look good. So,
They both look amazing.
very good.
Yeah,
it makes me want to work out more.
Well, that's nice. It made me just go, well, that's unrealistic.
I will never look like Sandra. And she was 43 in that movie.
Yeah, no,
I don't think my body's ever looked this good.
You're already falling apart. It's not gonna. I think I've hit my peak. I'm on the downward trajectory at this point, and I will not.
Once we
look
hit
like her.
30, it's just
Yeah, exactly.
going down.
Yeah.
If you're a celebrity, you still got hope till you're like,
Right. Well, because
maybe
you can
60.
pay for.
Yep.
Right. You can pay for all the things that you need to pay for.
Yep.
And I'm not saying she bought her body, but she has a train. She had a personal trainer.
yeah,
and
no,
stuff,
she you can tell she definitely works out.
Yeah.
So iconic scene. Something else that I feel like was a red flag for Margaret was that her favorite book was Wuthering Heights.
Yeah, that's.
That's a no.
I mean, I never read it because of the fact that I knew it was gonna ruin I was never gonna be able to handle it. I know exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
I know that it doesn't end well.
It's just
No
like
interest.
gloomy. I mean, I guess it would be Gothic literature. It just really is a lot. And for her to say she reads it every Christmas, I'm like,
Yeah, that's super depressing.
no, why would you? This is why you are the way you are.
Right. Exactly.
Why are you reading
it
that?
explains a lot.
Yeah. Let's see. Other tidbits.
I think one of my most memorable scenes is her
Yeah.
rapping in bed when they were like, she's in bed and he's on the ground, and they kind of both start singing along that song together.
Because she opens up to him and pretty much talks about how her parents passed away when she was 16 and that her first concert was raw bass and DJ Easy Rock, which they sing It Takes Two.
Yeah.
And Andrew's like, I don't know. What is that? And she starts singing it and he's laughing because he obviously knows what song it is.
Yeah.
And they start singing together. And I don't know why. Her opening up got me a little emotional. I think I just really felt bad. I'm like, man, she really is alone and I feel bad. Yeah. And then after they saw each other naked pretty much, she in the next morning had makeup on her face.
She
and
put,
I'm like
lip gloss on.
Yeah, that's valid. That's
Same though.
Yeah, absolutely same. Another thing I wanted to bring up was the gorgeous wedding dress. So the grandmother had this dress that was pretty much in their family, and it is the most stunning satin.
Yeah.
It's such a vintage gown, but it's so pretty. It's high neck and the sleeves are loose and it's fitted around.
One of my favorite things of all times is wedding dresses in movies. I just love.
This one was so pretty.
Because it's either the most beautiful dress or the most hideous dress.
Yes.
There's usually no in between. And this one was great.
This one was iconic. And the grandmother gives her a necklace. And at this point, it's still a fake wedding. So, of course, Margaret is feeling really bad now. She's like, I can't do this. She's like, no, it's okay. And the grandma's like, oh, something grandparents, like, they like to give things because it lets us think that you, like, keeping a part of us after we're gone. And I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, I would fucking break if I was Margaret. Like, we need to. And she was very much like, I can't. If your grandmother finds out, she's gonna die of like a heart
That's
attack.
something I really love about the movie is that it starts off with him being like, oh my God, what if they find out?
Yeah.
This is going to be terrible, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes to her being super confident and him having no confidence, and they
Yeah.
totally switch. And by the
Yeah.
end, she's like, oh my God, what if they find out? And he's like, they're not going to find out.
Yes.
And it's like you see him starting to care more about her and wanting this relationship to work, and her caring more about him and being like, oh my God, I'm ruining his life.
I'm ruining it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a cute dynamic. Although I feel like the movie, it had romance, but not a ton. I don't know. There wasn't as much of them,
The chemistry.
I don't know, falling in love, especially on
Like-
his end. It was just kind of like, he was slowly just kind of being like, no, we'll get married. We're going to do this, whatever.
Yes.
And you can tell he's liking her, but it I don't know. I guess I would have wanted
That's-
more from him.
Yeah, so I feel like comedically they have amazing chemistry together.
Right.
They really work well together. And watching that interview, I was like, they work
Mhm.
off each other very well. They're very funny together. I loved that aspect of the relationship. I would have liked to have seen in the movie a little bit more, maybe a few lingering glances,
Yeah.
maybe a few
Something.
building that attraction between the two, where it really is just very, they have the kiss, which you start to see
Yeah.
some interest in that kiss, but that's the most
That's kind of
you
it.
get. And they don't
Yeah.
kiss again until the end of the movie, and that's
No.
fine. That's very rom-com-y, but I
Yeah.
would have definitely have liked to seen
A little bit more.
a little bit more of a physical attraction. Although I think that they were working very heavily on that emotional attraction. They were trying to
Yeah.
build up that mental bond that they were building.
Right.
But I do agree with you on that.
I think that's my only like real negative of their overall relationship. I just wish there was like a bit more, but you know,
Yeah.
it is what it is. There was a
Yeah.
lot to go through in this movie.
There was a lot, and it like I said before, it is hard to get all that into such a short amount of time,
Yeah.
but I agree with you.
So the scene I wanted deleted was the end proposal scene. I think I just wanted it
Okay.
different. He starts it off by saying, you know, I dreamed of you getting hit by a car. I wish you
Yeah.
would get poisoned. And I understand what he was coming from. Like, he's pretty much saying, I started this, I hated you and
Yeah.
you were the worst. But now I grew to know more about you and now I love you, all this shit. And so I'm like, you could have not said some of
Yeah.
that. Because
It
if I was
wasn't
Margaret, I would
necessary.
have, you dreamed of
Right.
me getting hit by a car? Jesus
Right.
Christ, that's a little dark. So that's my only real scene that I was like, maybe just change it a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think it was definitely supposed to give you, I don't know if it was supposed to kind of keep you on the edge of your seat, like what is he feeling in this moment, and have you be surprised maybe when he proposed. But yeah, I don't
Yeah.
love starting off with details of murder.
yeah, so I don't
Proposals.
know. And then the timing's gonna be real awkward because she's gonna
Yeah.
make him editor after
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah.
So that's a little awkward, but you know,
Yeah.
it
I
is what it
don't
is.
love I always have issues with power dynamics in relationships in movies. I don't like it very much when one person has a lot of power over another. Even reading romance books, I don't really like it when it's the billionaire and the assistant
Yeah,
or whatever, because I'm like, someone has a lot of power here.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah. Not-
but
But
you
it's Sandra
know.
Bullock and Ryan Reynolds, and they're so funny.
they're so quirky. So
We did not talk about the chant scene.
oh yes,
Sandra
the second
Bullock
most
to the window.
iconic.
Yes. To the window, to the walls.
Yes.
To sweat drip down.
So she finds Gammy in the forest and she's pretty much chanting to the spirits, and
Yes.
she's got this headdress on and she's like, come on and chant with me. And so she's got Margaret kind of singing, and the beat of the chant kind of sounded like to the window, to the window. So she just starts singing and she just really gets into it really hard. And Gammy, Betty White, was just like, yeah, getting into it. And that's I can't believe I didn't even bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
definitely the second most iconic part of the
so
movie.
funny. I know that it has it's a little controversial because Gammy is wearing a headdress. She's,
Yes.
doing
I was
chants.
curious. I'm like,
So
what's going on here?
I don't know if you noticed in the storyline, but they do say that there is native blood in the family. So
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
the Gammy's grandmother or great grandmother or
Mhm.
something was part of the tribe that lived
Okay.
in Alaska, and who she was marrying had to get approved by all of the heads,
Okay.
whatever. So she tells this whole story when she's doing the
Yeah.
dress and the necklace thing.
Yeah.
So they basically kind of are like, it's okay because. And so I do understand it's very loose connection, and I don't think
Yeah.
Betty White has any Native Alaskan
Probably not.
tribal blood in her. So
Yeah, it's because the headdress felt, I don't know, it was like cartoony enough where I didn't think it was super offensive, but I was
right,
like, it's definitely was caught me a little because I didn't remember that. Well, there's
right.
something a little
I
weird
just
here.
remembered her like breaking it down in the woods, and I
Yeah.
didn't remember that kind of correlation, which
Right.
it does kind of make it a little bit of a caricature of that very deep cultural meaning
Yeah.
behind, paying blessings to the earth and all that kind of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I see the problem. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I see the problems.
She's
also,
singing from her heart, and
right.
that's what came
I
out.
also just found it very funny. I did when she's to the window to the walling and really breaking it down. It is
Yeah.
funny. Like, it is funny.
It's
I
funny.
get that it's a little bit not okay, but also it's still a little funny. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Margaret had to let loose, so
Yeah.
she did. Well, I'll just finish up with this stuff here. Love interest for Andrew. I said I would smash. He generally was a good guy. I didn't see anything too negative other than slapping the ass non-consensually twice.
Yeah.
Side character, I put Ramon. I did say pass,
Mhm.
even though he's a working man and he would support and provide.
He would be your number one fan.
He would worship the ground, but it's a little much,
Yeah.
The first meeting with Margaret, he's just shoving stuff in her mouth, and it's just a little much, I need some of that mystery, a little pullback.
A little bit of boundaries,
Yes, yeah, but I'll pass.
Mm-hmm.
How likely are you to fall in love? I said a 10 if I was in Margaret's shoes, because why not? You find out what your
Obviously.
assistant's rich.
Yes.
Cool, because it's perfect.
His family is nice.
Yeah, they're
Gammy's
great.
hilarious.
There's
They have
nothing
a huge
negative.
house. Yeah,
Nothing bad here.
he
If-
is attractive when naked. She already knows that.
Yeah, she knows that very well. If I was in Andrew's shoes, I think it'd be a little lower, but I would still say it's fairly good
It would
chance
be
of me falling
harder
in
for
love.
me.
Yeah.
Because when my good opinion once lost, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Stupid. But no, it's true. You go through so much with this person. They really
Yes.
were just evil to you.
If someone is that harsh to me, it's gonna take a lot, like a mountain of work on their part.
Right.
What she did would not have been enough for me, but
It
good for him.
could, maybe eventually.
Yeah, it would have maybe over the course of 3 months.
Yeah. Not a weekend. This happened during the weekend.
Yeah.
So if you did not know.
Yeah.
I would recommend this. So I think the movie still is good. I think the actors are great. My only negative is that the romance, I guess, wasn't as heavy, but it was still there. I don't think it's as problematic as people say it is, but that's just me.
I can understand some of what
Yeah.
they're saying, and I think we noted pretty much the major issues.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot worse out there. I feel
Yeah.
like Margaret was never fully, I don't know, degraded. I don't know. I just didn't see it that way. She was a piece of shit. She started off a piece of shit. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Right.
yeah, she girl balls, but she also was.
She was
a
tough.
fucking
She was a tough
asshole.
cookie,
Yeah.
and we did see a
She
little
had-
redemption arc, I think.
Yeah, she had her walls up,
Yeah.
But I gave the movie a 4.4 because it's good. I don't know.
It
a
is
movie.
good. I agree. I like it. I like to rewatch it every once in a while. I think it's
Yeah.
just funny.
Yeah,
It's
I
one
think
of-
it is an easy watch. It's for
Yes.
anyone to just kind of jump into it.
Right. It's a favorite of mine because I love all the characters. I love
Yeah.
the portrayal. I like the actors. Very good cast,
Yeah, and there's great. I didn't jump into it, but Andrew has this thing with his dad, and his family. He doesn't see him much, so there's a whole other thing with Andrew's side of it. So you have these really good arcs and chemistry and dynamics between everyone in the movie. So it's a well-rounded movie.
Yeah. Absolutely. Did you ever see the joke trailer they made? The joke interview that they made?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I watched it today. So they released this sort of joke trailer. I'll have to send it to you.
For
And
the
it's
proposal?
Yeah, and it's basically Ryan and Sandra are doing an interview with a camera, and they're talking like, "Oh, thanks for coming behind the scenes with us, blah, blah." And then Betty White shows up, and he turns to her, and he's like, "What is she doing here?" And she's like, "What do you mean? Like, I don't understand why you guys have a problem." And Ryan's like, "She hates me. I don't know why she hates me." And then Sandra comes up, and Betty is like, "Oh my God, look, it's America's sweetheart," like doting all over Sandra.
God.
And then she gets in, she like climbs, Sandra has to go off to the side, and Betty White gets in the chair next to Ryan and was like, "Oh, Brian, right? Give me a coffee." And then he's like, I've been working here with you this whole time. And she's just like, "When Betty White asks for a coffee, you get her a fucking coffee." So she's losing her mind at him. And then he starts screaming at her. And then Sandra comes back and she like pulls her to the side. And she's like, "You're a nobody. No one knows your name. What do they think when they hear Ryan Reynolds? They think of nothing. But everyone knows Betty White." She like slaps him across the face.
Oh my God. No,
Dude,
I've never seen this. Oh, that's why. I fucking love Betty White.
Yeah, it's so funny because Betty White starts like cursing. Sandra Bullock is like cursing. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
So it's just, I feel like that's very much the vibe of the personalities and everything that's coming through. It's so fun. A couple of things that I didn't end up mentioning, but I just think it's worth talking about. Oh, first, very interesting point is that in real life, Ryan Reynolds is Canadian and Sandra Bullock is American. And
that's
then
right,
in the movie,
yeah.
it's kind of reversed.
Yeah.
And in one of the interviews, they were talking about how Ryan Reynolds had to train himself out of his accent, his Canadian accent.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, you'll never see an action comedy star go, 'Let's take this outside.'" So basically he's talking about how he had to do that, and he said that Sandra played, Canadian very well. Betty White almost turned down the role because she didn't want to leave her golden retriever for 10 weeks.
Oh.
Which is fair, 100%.
Absolutely.
She is a very big, I didn't realize this until I was reading an article that she did, was that she's a very big animal activist, and she was really into just caring for animals.
Oh.
And it's one of the things she wanted to be remembered by, which is really sweet. And originally, Sandra Bullock didn't want to do the movie because it was a romantic comedy, and she was a little bit hesitant, but then she read the script and fell in love with it.
Okay.
And Betty White also loved the script for the proposal when she read it.
How many romantic comedies has Sandra been in?
I feel like a decent amount. That's why I was surprised that she wasn't interested in it at first. I think she was known for rom-coms, and she was probably trying to get a little bit away from
Get out of it.
While
That's
You Were
very
Sleeping.
fair.
Hope Floats. Forces of Nature. Oh my God, that one. Ugh. I almost wanted to make you watch it just because I have such strong opinions about it.
We should do a thread where it's strong opinions.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's interesting that because she is in a lot, but I think she must have been trying to make her way a little bit away from.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I was actually really surprised because the audience score is a 68 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's a little low, yeah.
Yeah. And the critic score is 45%. So I was really surprised by how low those were. I really thought at least audience score would be higher because...
Yeah, I saw something where it was like pretty generic plotline. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't think it's that creative, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it had enough in it where it was... I was very surprised. Yeah, I was very surprised at those scores. I was like, all right, well, you're wrong.
Sorry, your opinions are bad.
It's not a good opinion, so...
Yeah, but I think those are my main points. I like the movie. I think it's a good movie.
I think it's a good movie. I think it's definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it. So the movie I'm gonna have Megan watch is called Crimson Peak. And
that sounds familiar. I've heard about it
So it is a Guillermo del Toro movie.
Okay,
It is,
that's why.
yeah. It's romance horror.
Oh.
So
No.
we'll see how you like it. But it's got Tom Hiddleston.
Oh.
It's got
okay.
Jessica Chastain. It's got Mia. God, her last name always Wasikowska. You'll know her face if you look her up.
Okay.
She's got her face. But anyway,
She's
about
got a face.
yeah, this young woman, and she ends up being charmed and marries the very handsome and seductive Sir Thomas Sharp. And she ends up going to his remote Gothic mansion in the English hills. And also living there is his sister, who's also charming and alluring. And they seem to have weird family secrets. And while at the house, the main character, Edith, she seems to be having ghostly visions of something in the new home. And she has to try and figure out the truth of the house and the monster and or the family. So it's a little bit of mystery, bit of romance. So
all right,
it's a good story.
Okay.
I think you'll like it.
Okay, I believe you. Well,
closing off.
How do you watch this? If you are looking for us on social media, we are How Do You Watch This at gmail.com. How do you watch this, or how do you watch, depending on the service. Just start typing it in. You'll find us eventually. Last week, I went so far as to open a browser to make something, and it didn't happen, but we are
My mom's on TikTok now.
Oh,
she wants to see posts, so she asked.
Yeah, we really do have to we're gonna come up with a game plan. Maybe we'll do it this weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe we will. Like, review, subscribe is what they usually say at the end of these things. I don't remember what we say because it's been a few months since we've followed a script.
I think we just are like, okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
We'll see you next week.